Hello, I'm Martin from Resolution Games, and Resolution Games is a company based here in Stockholm, and we're one of the most innovative VR and AR companies in the world. And that's not just me saying that; it's from Fast Company magazine, so it's true. But we make games for VR and AR platforms. And today I will talk about what is Rust good for, and also some experience from our side from a real project. First, some background, some personal history. I've worked with software development of different sorts for quite some time now. I've used all of these languages and some more, and I've never been quite happy with any of them. There's no single language that's good for everything. But now that I've found Rust, I think it's getting pretty close. So what is Rust good for? Many people think of it as a systems programming language. So you can use Rust as a replacement for C and C++, because it compiles to fast machine code. It allows direct access to memory and hardware. You can build to all major platforms like Windows, iOS, Android for Mac, and lots of embedded systems that I have never heard of. So you can definitely write an operating system or a huge application in Rust. But you could also use it for server-side development. You can write, for example, a web service in Rust pretty easily. So you can use it as an alternative to Node.js or Java or Go or Python or Ruby or any of the other popular server-side languages. And client-side web. You don't have to write JavaScript anymore to run code in the browser, because Rust can compile to WebAssembly, which runs in the browser. You could also use it for utility scripts and tooling. And while I think Rust is maybe not the ideal language for that, it can be thought of as an alternative to, for example, Python, which is quite common for these kind of things. And the reason you would want to use Rust in these cases is probably that you want to limit the amount of languages that you have in your stack. So if you use Rust for something else, I think it makes sense to use it for these things as well. And games, of course. Because in games we want speed and the robustness, and Rust also has a growing ecosystem and a lot of interest from the games industry. So I'd say Rust is pretty useful in lots of different areas. So it definitely is a general purpose language. So what's good about it? One thing you'll notice if you try out Rust is that Rust is very strict. If you look at the languages here to the right, there are languages where the compilation is a relatively simple transition of the source code into some kind of internal data structure. And it's so fast that you typically don't even think about it as compilation. It does not check that types match, and it does not check whether a function actually exists if you try to call it. C# that I use a lot, and Java and other similar languages do these kind of checks. It makes sure that the types match and that a function that you're trying to call actually exists, and the argument to send to that function actually matches what the function expects, and so on. But there are still a lot of errors that can happen at runtime. For example, the most common one is the null reference exception, known as null pointer exception for historical reasons in Java. And while null is sometimes useful, often it's an error, and the compiler doesn't help us with it. But both C# and Java has tried to add non-nullable types to help with this. But as there's a lot of legacy code and legacy programmers as well, it's not trivial to add that to an existing mature language. So Rust is even more strict than this. First of all, there are no null references. The compiler also makes sure that you can't write to the same piece of memory from more than one place. That also helps with some common errors, like race conditions. Match statements has to be exhaustive. Variables are immutable by default. So in every detail like this, Rust is designed to be safe and robust, and maybe a bit nitpicky. But if it is better to get to know about the problem early, you probably prefer to know it during compilation rather than during tests or in production even. So it's probably a good thing to get the compiler to check things. Next thing is Rust is good as performance. And one reason is that it doesn't have that many runtime checks because the compiler has checked so many things already. So there are not that many things that can go wrong at runtime. And it's compiled to machine code. There is no just-in-time compilation, so it starts up very quickly. No garbage collection either. And especially in games, it's really important to have predictable performance, so you can't have the process stall for several milliseconds sometimes to collect garbage. And I know they say that garbage collectors have gotten better, but I haven't really seen that when we have code that tries to run at 90 frames per second and allocates memory every frame. It still becomes a bit slow. Still, Rust is not like C. You don't have to explicitly free memory just because you don't have garbage collection, because the compiler knows the lifetime of the objects and makes sure that to deallocate them when needed. And also this thing, idiomatic code is fast, because Rust is designed for speed. So to make code fast, you don't have to write it in a way that goes against the grain of the language. You just code as usual, and the compiler takes care of making it fast. So there are no surprises. You don't have to learn lots of strange tricks to make the code run fast. It just does. Tools is another thing that's good. And that's pretty common with modern or new languages in general. They have good tools from the start. So these tools come with a Rust installation. So the tools are there from the start. So they are standard. They're used by everyone. So it's like batteries included. And crates. What would a game be without crates? But it's not that kind of crates I'm talking about. A crate is Rust's name for a code library. And as Rust has received quite a bit of hype as the next new cool thing, there's been a rush to create reusable library code for it. So if you're looking for a library for something, someone has probably made a crate for that already. And you declare which crates your app uses in a file called cargo.toml. And here's a part of that for our project. So when Cargo, the build tool, builds the project, it will automatically download these crates and you can use them in your program. And as there's nothing unique about this. I mean, JavaScript has had NPM for quite some time, and C# has NuGet, or Java has Maven or something. Python has pip or whatever you're supposed to use nowadays. And even C++ has tools like this. But Rust has had it from the very start. So it's a standard that people actually use. Everyone uses it. So we tried out Rust in a game that we're developing. And it's the first project where we as a company use Rust. And it's a real commercial project. So you could say we dove into the deep end. The game has advanced requirements. It's a physics-based, real-time, multiplayer action game. And it's also a VR game, which requires very fast response times. And it has an authoritative server. We run the physics simulation on the server as well as on the client. And we wanted action replays. And it has to run on the Meta Quest, which is a mobile device, a VR headset. So it's not a powerful PC either. And previously, we made our other games in Unity and C#. And I had an idea for how to implement this, but what I wanted to do felt like I was working against the grain of C#. I kept trying to figure out what the compiler would do with my code. For example, I wanted to avoid memory allocations because of garbage collection. And C# sneakily sometimes started boxing values. Even sometimes when I made what I thought was a pretty minor change to the code, it started allocating memory all of a sudden. So at Resolution, we have a culture of allowing teams to choose which tools they want to use and do things their own way. So why not try Rust in this project? I had used Rust in some projects and in some private projects. I was pretty confident that it was feasible. So you could make a whole game in Rust. There are game engines for Rust. Different game engines have different sets of features, but in general, a game engine is a framework that takes care of setting up and rendering graphics and sound and handling user input and such things. Possibly using physics, doing physics simulations and stuff like that. And there are game engines written in Rust. But using an unknown new game engine is a quite big undertaking. It's not only for programmers, it's also for 3D artists, level designers, audio designers. All those other roles also work with the game engine. And also, frankly, that the Rust-based game engines are probably not as feature complete as the established ones. So I thought instead, let's write the core of the game in Rust and use Unity for the user-facing things like the graphics and sound and input. So we put the common logic in a crate and created another crate for the client-side specific code. Put that in a shared object file, which is on Windows that is called a DLL. On Android, it's called an SO file. And then we let the Unity code in C# call the functions in this DLL. So these functions were written in Rust, and the C# code could call them. And we did something similar on the server side, where we created a crate, where we also used the game crate, and we created a server-specific crate that used the common functionality. And then these two communicate over the internet with UDP sockets. So that is the basically the architecture that we did. So we are doing two complicated things at once. We're using Rust, which is a new language for us, and also networked multiplayer, which everyone knows is difficult. So we did bite off quite a lot. So it is a bit hard to chew. So you may wonder, how did this go? The project it's still underway. We're not done yet, and the game will be released sometimes, well, after this summer at least. But there are some thoughts that we thought about during this project. First is the Rust learning curve. It has this reputation of being difficult to learn, but it wasn't that difficult actually for new programmers in this project. I think it was maybe because we had an existing code base to work on. And I was surprised how easily new project members took on the Rust code actually. And also everyone doesn't have to be an experienced Rust programmer either, because in Rust, new programmers can be trusted. Unlike in, for example, C++, where it's pretty scary to let someone new into the code base, because you never know what they do, because they will create problems with memory management and things like that, for example. But also in C#, it's the same thing. There are many things that can go wrong at runtime in C#. So actually, I would actually say that it's less of a risk to let a new programmer into a Rust project than it is to let someone into a C# project. Then, of course, we had some added complexity of having these two environments, that we have Unity and Rust code. That's not really Rust related. It happens because we had these two environments. Separating logic from the view is probably something that everyone in this room agrees that's a good idea. That's a pretty common pattern. And if we have the logic in one language and the view in another language, that we have Rust for the logic and Unity for the view, then that separation becomes very clean. You have to do it. So that is actually sort of an advantage. And also we noticed that Rust is really good for this kind of lower level code. Like we serialize data to binary, we store historic data in a timeline so we can roll back to an earlier state, we run updates in the background threads, we send and receive packages over UDP. And the design of Rust and its libraries make these kind of things pretty enjoyable and robust. And speaking of robustness, we seldom see any runtime errors in the Rust code. So compared to the C# code, where we still often see the dreaded null reference exception quite often, the Rust code is pretty stable. So once the compiler lets you compile the code and run it, it often does what it's supposed to do. Also notice that there's a lot of crates that are useful. We use a physics engine called Rapier. We use a crate called log for logging. We use a metrics exporter that exports metrics to Prometheus. We use third-party libraries for certain data structures, stuff like that. So if anything you can think of, there's probably a crate for it that someone wrote already. And also the community. Because Rust has attracted the interest from lots of developers, good developers from all over the world. If I search for something, ask a question about something, I often get good answers. Often from the person who actually wrote the library I'm using in the first place, or even the language designer. This is pretty neat. So what I would recommend that you look at is, or what I would recommend is that you look at Rust, try it out. It may make you a better programmer in other languages as well. But start small. We may be bit off a little bit too much. We dove into the deep end. So let's just hope that we will get back to the surface. Thank you for listening.